What if your well-paid job is actually keeping you poorer than if you took a massive pay cut? That sounds like a clickbait question. It's a math problem. You're forced to spend your money just to survive the job that pays you the money. By the end of this video, you'll see exactly what that costs you. It's the middle of the month. You check the bank account. Something doesn't quite add up. You earned what you earned. Tax came out, rent went in, groceries, fine. And there's still less in there than there should be. It's not that you're bad with money. It's that there's a second salary you've been paying to keep showing up, and nobody put it on a payslip. Back in the 90s, a guy named Joe Dominguez did the math on his own job. He was on $28 an hour. Sounds fine, right? Then he started subtracting tax, the commute, the work clothes, the lunches he bought because making one at 6 in the morning is a fantasy, the Friday wine that quietly paid for the recovery from a week he didn't actually enjoy. His real hourly wage was $12.08, less than half of what the contract said. This is a video about the salary you didn't know you were paying. By the end of it, you'll be able to spot it on your own bank statement. Then you decide what to do with what you see. It's not a budgeting video. I'm not going to ask you to track every coffee or move your subscriptions around. The point isn't to spend less. The point is to see clearly. There are 5 specific ways your job pulls that second salary out of you. You've been paying into these categories your whole working life, without ever noticing them as separate from being alive. Most of them sound like just being a person. They aren't anything of the kind. We'll name all 5. We'll look at what each one actually costs, with real research, real numbers, and one specific confession of mine from when I learned this the expensive way. And then we'll do something nobody in this corner of the internet seems to do. We'll look at what a Tuesday at 11 in the morning actually looks like when you stop paying. Here's the thing. Nobody mentions about money and work. The salary isn't the contract. The salary is the minimum you have to earn to be the person the job needs you to be. Because the job isn't just a thing you do. It's a tribe. And every tribe has rules about who belongs. The clothes, the coffee, the car, the neighborhood, the wine on Friday. You don't think of any of this as the cost of working. You think of it as being a professional, as just being a person who has a job. But your ancestors weren't just being people. They were earning the right to belong to the group that wouldn't leave them out on the savannah. Your nervous system still believes those are the stakes, which is overkill. Nobody's getting eaten by a lion for wearing the wrong sneakers to a Monday meeting. A psychologist named Cialdini spent his career on this. He found that the most powerful identities don't ask you to perform them. They hand you a script, and your brain reads the script as the price of admission. It's not a suggestion, it's the price. Let me give you the confession I promised. When I bought my first apartment, I spent almost $20,000 on decor, matching pieces, art for the walls, candles, objects whose only job was to sit on a shelf and make the room look like a room from a magazine. I had a phrase for it at the time. I called it lifestyle decor. What it actually was a lifestyle fantasy in shabby chic, because I wasn't furnishing the life I had. I was at work 50 hours a week, mostly eating dinner, standing up at the kitchen counter. I was furnishing the life I imagined I'd have if I ever got the time to live in it. The decor wasn't for me. It was for a version of me. That's not lifestyle. That's the price of admission. The decor wasn't the only fee. It was just the most obvious one. There are at least 5 categories like this on every working person's bank statement. Every single one of them looks like just being alive. Every single one of them is actually the rent on a roll. Let me show you what's in each. Before I name them, here's the finding that landed harder for me than any of the taxes themselves. In 1998, 3 economists, Banks, Blundell, Tanner, tracked people's spending the day they retired. Total spending dropped a bit. They expected that. But the categories tied to working, clothes, transport, restaurant meals, dropped much faster than everything else. It was as if they weren't really spending at all. They were the running cost of the roll. Then 2020 happened. Offices closed. Those lunches you bought because cooking at 6 in the morning is impossible, they vanished too. In the US, food away from home spending fell 53.7% in one quarter. Nobody developed willpower in March 2020. The category just structurally disappeared. This isn't theoretical, it's measured. And it's bigger than we think. Tax 1, time. Your contract starts at 9, but your day started at 6. The alarm, the shower, the clothes that won't crease, the coffee made too fast to taste, the traffic, the desk. By the time you actually start working, you've already spent 2 hours feeding the roll. The contract starts at 9. Your body started paying at 6. When Joe Dominguez did his math, this is where most of his salary disappeared. The Australian Automobile Association measured it for the average household. We spend 17% of household income on transport alone. The University of New South Wales pinned the average commute at $5,020 a year. That's more than one workday a week, every week, funding the right to get to work. We've been paying it before we ever clocked in. That's the obvious tax. The next one's invisible. Tax 2, visibility. Every job has a costume. The shoes that don't make sense on weekends. The haircut on a schedule the job set. The watch. The bag that looks like the right bag. The car you washed last Tuesday because there was a meeting on Wednesday. You're not buying clothes. You're buying admission tickets to a room. Cialdini, the one I mentioned earlier, found that roles come with scripts, and the script tells you what to wear. The numbers around this are bigger than you'd guess. Working women in the US spend roughly $2,000 a year on work clothing, and the dry cleaning premium for an office wardrobe runs over $1,300 a year more for women than for men. And that's just to keep showing up looking like the role. It's a uniform. You just didn't know you were wearing one. You can see that one on the receipt. The next one's harder to spot. Tax 3, loneliness. You already know this one. I confessed it 20 minutes ago. It was $20,000 on decor, for the version of my life I imagined I'd have if I ever got the time to live in it. You have a version of this. It might not be $20,000. It might be the candles, the matching plates, the throw cushion no one is allowed to actually throw, the apartment in the right postcode, the home gym you were too tired to use. It's the same lifestyle fantasy, just in a different shape. This one doesn't need a study. You already lived it. You barely live there, but the rent keeps coming. Now the one nobody warns you about. Tax 4, recovery. Here's what it looks like. Friday wine, which we have collectively agreed counts as self-care. Sunday takeaway, the I deserve this purchase. The Amazon parcel that arrives midweek and you can't remember ordering. The screen scrolling at 11 at night, because if you go to bed early, tomorrow comes faster. It's not a treat, it's an anesthetic. The research on decision fatigue is clear. After 4 days of choices you didn't really want to make, our nervous systems accept the path of least resistance. The wine, the takeaway, the parcel you'll regret on Sunday. Here's the thing, it's not weakness. It's the brain's cheapest exit from a week that wore it down. Every week sends a bill after itself, same shape, different category. Tax 5, convenience. You start paying it in small purchases. The Uber Eats at 8 at night, because cooking after work isn't physically possible. The cleaner, because your weekend isn't long enough to be both a person and a home. The pre-cut vegetables, the dry cleaner, the dog walker, the lawn service, the thing you do yourself, if the job had left you anything to do it with. You're not paying for the food. You're paying for the time the job didn't leave you to make it. 2 economists, Aguiar and Hurst, followed people into retirement and noticed something odd. Their food spending dropped 17%, but their consumption didn't. They weren't eating less or worse. They were just cooking again. Money replaces time, all the way down. You're buying back the time the job already took. That's all 5. Now, I owe you the honest part of this video. Some of what you spend on coffee, you actually like coffee. Some of the candles, you genuinely wanted them. Some of the Tuesday night Thai food. Sometimes a Tuesday night just needs Thai food. The 5 taxes aren't 100% the job's fault. The job magnifies them. It didn't invent them. The economists I mentioned earlier, Banks, Blundell, Tanner, were careful about this. They said the work cessation explanation only goes so far. The categories tied to the role evaporate first when work ends. But what's left after that? The things you spend on because you're a human being who likes things. That stays. Let me give you the second confession of mine. It is, in fact, possible to have a finance degree and still be an idiot. I have the receipts. I bought a Skoda, a perfectly practical family car, and took a loan for it when I had the cash sitting in the bank. By the time I'd finished paying, with interest, the total came to well over 30 grand. I was studying financial planning at the time. I was working at a financial institution. I knew exactly what compound interest does in both directions. I could see the system clearly. I bought the car anyway. Some part of me still wanted a visible car for a version of me that needed to be seen arriving. Which raises the question this video has been quietly orbiting the whole time. If seeing the system doesn't stop you from being pulled into it, and knowing the trap doesn't make you immune to it, then what actually changes anything? Here's what I've learned. The question isn't, how do I escape the second salary? The question is, which of these payments are mine, and which ones did someone else write me into? You don't have to escape the system to start paying it differently. You just have to see which bills you actually signed off on. Let me show you what this looks like in practice. It's a Tuesday morning, 11 a.m. You're not in an office. You're not in a meeting. You're not on a call. There's no Slack notification queuing up something you'll have to context switch into. The coffee is the same coffee you've always liked. You're just not using it to prop yourself up anymore. You're drinking it slowly, standing at the counter, not running out the door with it in a bucket-sized cup. The same coffee somehow tastes sweeter when there's no rush. Breakfast is optional now. You eat when you're hungry, not at 12:15 because the calendar said it was your break. The discipline isn't what you eat. The discipline is letting your body decide instead of the clock. What you do with the time is yours. Here's what I do with mine, in case you're wondering. I sit down with an idea at 10 in the morning. I write it, I record it, I edit it. I watch it become a video like this one, all by myself. The corporate job never gave me focus and flow. Modern work doesn't give most people focus and flow. They're luxuries the second salary keeps us too tired to ever have. Here's the math nobody runs. When work ends, spending crashes, not by a small amount. Banks, Blundell and Tanner showed the categories tied to the job. The rushed coffee, the work clothes, the Friday wine, the decor you bought to make the apartment feel like a life. Those just stop happening. Not because of willpower, because the reason for the spending walked out the door with the job. What's left is what you actually wanted in the first place. The dinner you saved the money for, the one that matters. The long-haul ticket once a year. The conversation with a friend you have the energy to be present in. The salary you thought you needed was wrong. It wasn't a math error. The math was calculating the cost of a life you were paying to maintain, not the cost of a life you actually wanted to live. That's what's left when you stop paying the second salary. You're left with time, and you're left with a small number of things you actually wanted. So here's what to do with all of this. Don't budget. Don't strip your life. Don't quit your job tomorrow. Please don't quit your job because of a YouTube video. That's not what this is. None of those are the actual move. Open last month's bank statement. Find one category. Ask yourself one question. What of this exists only because of my job? You're not looking to feel guilty. You're not looking to cut anything. You're looking to see what's yours and what's rent on a role you didn't fully choose. That's the whole job of this video, to make one category on your statement visible. The salary you didn't know you were paying is real. The math is small. The total is enormous. And the first thing that changes when you can see it is your sense of what enough actually costs. So here's the question I'll leave you with. What's on your second pay stub that you've stopped seeing? Not because it's invisible, but because you've been paying it so long you call it normal. You don't have to answer me. Answer yourself. The whole point of this video was to give you a question worth sitting with. You were always capable of seeing this. Fare thee well.